Hello everybody. Hello everybody. This is M, Super Coach, CEO of the Soul Focus Group. So excited about what I want to talk to you about today. I've been in what we call it, the life coaching, executive coaching business for now over 33 years. Started my practice in 1990, so it's like probably a little longer than that. And when I first started my practice, the reason why I called it life coaching was not because of a lot of the reasons why people think life coaching exists. For me, I called my practice life coaching because I had coaches in my life because I grew up an athlete. And so I always had some form of coaches helping me along the way. And I thought to myself that the benefits that I got from having coaches in my life would also benefit other people. So that was the first part of the idea. The second part of the idea for me was not that I was going to be coaching you, but that I felt like your life was already coaching you. People's lives are already coaching them. In other words, people's lives are already communicating to them direction to go. But people, we normally don't listen to ourselves. We don't listen to our life. So my thought was I would become that voice that would help you to pay attention, to pay more closer attention to what your life was already leading you to do, to what your life was already communicating. Ergo, me being a life coach would be you getting you to listen to your life. And for 33 years, I've been helping people. I don't like to use help. I've been supporting people in getting attuned to the voice of their own life, their own inner voice, and learning to trust themselves and lean into their own power. Now, that brings me to what I want to talk to you about today, because what's been on my mind a lot is, what we see happening in the world. These mass shootings are like horrific. I have children and 2 of them are still in school. And it is terrifying and frightening to think that you could drop your child off to school and possibly not pick them up because someone who is in pain, someone who's experiencing some level of mental illness. And you can't tell me that anybody who shoots and kills or even wants to hurt someone else is not experiencing mental illness, right? So we have mental illnesses like wildfire in our country, unaddressed mental illness. And, for the longest we have been pretending as if mental illness doesn't exist. I know when I grew up, the community I grew up in, I experienced mental illness. I experienced it in the form of depression and, of course, trauma. I went through 16 years of deep depression, working to try to get out of it. But back then in our community, there was no assistance or no help besides the church for anything such as that. And we didn't even have the language, to be honest with you. I didn't even know I was depressed. People thought I was just being a little lazy because sometimes it was hard for me to pick my head up from the pillow. Sometimes I just wanted to crawl up and die and away from everybody else. I had multiple times where I had thoughts and ideations of committing suicide. Never did, but thought about it a lot and wanted to leave this world in a lot of ways. So we've come a long way from completely hiding the mental illness that existed in our community to now we are at least beginning to talk about it. And I want to say this. I want to say what I've come to learn from working with thousands of people from all over the world. What is at the primary root of basic mental illness? Now, I know that there are some mental illnesses that are connected to genetic. And what I mean by genetic in terms of brain disorders and chemical disorders. And I think a lot of that is being produced because the environment is so saturated with us not dealing with our mental illness. And because we're not dealing with our mental illness, in some way we are passing that on. We're passing it on to generations to come because we are not, just like any other problem in society, if you don't deal with it, if you don't take it on, then you pass it on to the next generation, such as racism, patriarchy, classism, all these isms. We keep passing these problems on to the next generation. We don't just pass them on mentally, we pass them on genetically, and we pass them on culturally. And if they live in the culture, then they're going to live with the people, right? So I want to talk about this because what I found to be at the root of mental illness is an incorrect view of ourselves. Is that when I suffered with mental illness, it was because how I secretly saw myself was deploring. It was not positive. It was completely negative. I saw myself in a deficit state. I saw myself as being unworthy, not good enough. And that wears on you after a while. When at the end of the day, no matter what you achieve, no matter what you accomplish, you still see yourself as being unworthy and not good enough, that is not mentally healthy. Now, I am also of the belief that we all come into this world in a state of mental eunoia. And what that means is a Greek word that means a beautiful thinking mind. I think all of us come into this world as children in a beautiful thinking mind. We see possibility on the horizon. We're excited about life, and we can't wait to go out there and express ourselves. And then the world hits us in the face. Then who we really are, the original mind that we come into this world with, is then all kind of crap is put on top of it, and the world starts telling you who they think you are, who they think you should be. And then what happens is the view of yourself becomes incorrect. You start having a view of yourself that's deficit based. You start seeing yourself in a totally wrong way. You stop seeing your genius. You stop seeing your abilities. You stop seeing just how wonderful you really are as a human being. And when we don't see ourselves correctly, it starts to contribute to us acting in a way that is in alignment with how we see ourselves. I say this to my clients all the time. Tell me how you secretly see yourself. In other words, the way that you think about you in the privacy of your own mind, and I will tell you how you relate to yourself. Tell me how you secretly see yourself, and I'll tell you how you relate to yourself. Now, for me, there were many situations where things were going great, but I would always find a way to bring it down to a very low vibrational level, because secretly I didn't see myself as other people sometimes saw me. Some people saw me as being a genius. Some people saw my talent. Some people saw my ability. Some people saw my potential, and they were like, "Man, you know what you've done for me?" And I'd be like, "What are you talking about?" I really did not believe what they were saying to me, because it didn't equal the vision I secretly had of myself. Now, so everything that they said positive, even in front of audiences where I brought audiences of thousands of people to standing ovation. Think about that. And still find reasons or why what I did was so inadequate, what I did was so deficient. It's because I had trained my brain. My brain had been trained through programming, through narratives and messages to look for what was wrong. There's a part of the brain called the reticular activating system. The reticular activating system. And the way it works is we used to use it more because it's the part of the brain we used to use to remember phone numbers, remember names. But now we have a computer that we walk around with called the cell phone that holds this information for us. So, but back then we used to use it for that. But now how it's used, you take, for example, if you buy a car, you think you're going to be the only one with that make and model, that color. And as soon as you drive it off the lot, what happens? You see that everybody has one just like it. And it's not like that everybody went out and bought a car at the same time you did, the exact same model. It's just that now that it's important to your brain and it's important to you, you start looking for it out in the world and you start finding it. Well, it's the same thing happens when we believe that we're stupid or we're dumb or we're not good enough. Our brain becomes calibrated to look out into the world for proof, to come back with data that proves to us that, yes, you are not good enough. You are dumb. You are stupid. You're not very beautiful. You exactly whatever the thing is, your brain focuses on it. Now, that doesn't mean that's true, but it means it's true to you. And therefore, your reality starts becoming propagated with data to verify what you believe. So now, believing is a part of our perception of ourselves. What we believe about ourselves is also our perception of ourselves. And until we change the perception of ourselves, until we change the way we see ourselves, nothing can really change, because that's the baseline. Our mind is bound to our perception of ourselves. What you see is what you get. I'm M. Start working on transforming your perspective. At the Soul Focus Group, we are dedicated to helping people transform the way that they see themselves.